Hello and welcome to Sid and Terry's Doctor Who podcast. I'm Terry.
And I'm Sid. We're here every 2 weeks or so to chat about Doctor Who, old and new. We'll have reviews, discussions, and opinions, as well as the latest news. So hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Tight. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to episode 3. Start off this week with a bit of sad news. It's been in the press and on various Doctor Who forums and websites. The passing of Bob Baker, the screenwriter, television writer from the classic era of Doctor Who. He was the last surviving writer from the Pertwee era. So this is something that's quite sad now more than ever, because that era with regard to the writing side of things has gone into history. And we can, of course, still celebrate his work. He wrote The Claws of Axos, The Mutants, The Three Doctors, of course, the Sontaran Experiment, The Hand of Fear, Underworld, Armageddon Facts, Nightmare of Eden, but of course, he co-created K9. He worked on Z-Cars, Public Eye. He also wrote for Wallace and Gromit, another dog that he wrote for, Bergerac in the 80s. So nice cross-section of television he worked for. So it's sad that he's gone. So we wish his family and friends all the very best at this time.
Look out, K9. Hold on.
Hurry, K9. If the lock's jammed, destroy it. Right. Quickly, K9, inside. Come along.
Mistress.
Come along, K9. Oh, K9, what have they done to you?
Poor little fellow. Is he badly hurt?
Isotope decay rate indicates 100k range.
Yes, that's what I thought. Look out, K9. Hold on.
Will he be all right?
I don't know. It will be all right. It just has a little corrosion in its circuits.
I can call K9 here if I want to. You call the TARDIS she.
Never.
You do? I've heard you.
I did my best, Master, but it was so strong.
What was it?
Silicon-based. Globulin deficient.
What?
So strong.
Oh, great. Say ah. Ah. Laryngitis. How can a robot catch laryngitis? I mean, what do you need it for? Me? None of the dogs got laryngitis.
Affirmative, Master.
Yes, War of the Sontarans. I really enjoyed. Apart from the fact they just all talk to themselves.
I noticed, did I notice a mention of links in there?
Yes, I think they said the first time that Lynx set foot on Earth, they knew that it was theirs to conquer. I thought it was great.
And I have to be frank, actually I'm Sid, but I genuinely enjoyed the mention of links as the one thing that stands
Yeah, I thought it might, yeah.
I do really love the design of the Centaur.
Mm. Oh, they're great, aren't they? They're very...
I think they're spectacular. I think they're actually better than they... Yes.
Yeah, they're very kind of grubby and grimy and... Yeah, exactly what you expect from a psychotic warlike clone race.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I hope this series continues to move like that. I'm still suffering from the episodes being a lot of information.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, as an American audience member, I still am struggling more so than I ever was with the accents. Prior to Capaldi, Now Capaldi's Scottish accent is heavy, but I didn't have to strain as much listening to him as I am now.
He's got very good diction.
Correct.
Yeah.
I probably should watch this thing with subtitles.
I do. And I'm English. Mainly to get the names more than anything.
Sure.
Like I didn't realize they were called priest triangles until I watched it again with the subtitles on. But it is interesting you kind of say that about the accents, because Doctor Who now more than ever has been an international program. It's an international commodity. And when it was more homegrown, just on the BBC, not really, I know they say it was broadcast in so many 60 or so 70 countries worldwide, but it was predominantly a show made for a British audience. I think in recent years, certainly since the series kind of had David Tennant on board, it was more inclined to be designed for an international audience. So it's interesting that Chibnall's chosen specifically to make it very much kind of Liverpool based this year, Sheffield, Jodie's first series, which is great to show off English landmarks, just like Cardiff did, I suppose, for Rose and Series 1 and Series 2. But it's interesting that they've got such specific locales that nobody else across the country, across the world, will really kind of be aware of or conscious of, and who need to struggle to keep up with the accents, because a Liverpool accent is quite unique.
I do remember, was it Jodie's first season? They went to America. It wasn't the Rosa Parks episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not limited to the UK, but it is extremely difficult for me to catch. Yeah,
I just wonder if other non-UK based fans have struggled as well. So I have subtitles on, and I said probably to get the character names, but I find I'm watching some things mostly with subtitles these days. Perhaps it's my age, I don't know. I've been watching Taboo, Tom Hardy, BBC Tom Hardy series. I think it might have been FX series as well, and Tom Hardy mumbles quite a lot in his performances anyway, but I've had to have the subtitles on for that because I have no idea what anybody's talking about, and that's set in 18th century London, and it's all lots of mumbling and perhaps it's my ears, I don't know, but there we go.
When you are a screenwriter and you are familiar with the full arc and all the stories, I think you could perhaps become blind to what would not be so obvious to the general viewer.
Yeah.
I am finding it very difficult to keep up with this series.
Yes.
And I try to stay away from reviews, but occasionally I will pop on and I will see. I'm not alone. I like the thread, the 6-part, but I am still struggling. And I'm hoping that in the end, it will all make sense. But I think you should begin to make sense of things as you slowly migrate through. And I'm not.
No, I kind of, the first 2 episodes, I expected to be the setup. And I love the fact that we went to the Crimean War and we'd established that something had happened when the Lupari had put the shield around the planet. The Centaurans had sneaked in and somehow decided to infiltrate time. I love that idea. Again, kind of playing with the concept of time and alternative universes. So that episode was pretty straightforward to me and kind of raised some questions as to kind of how and why. And then you got Once Upon Time, which I thought, okay. The planet Time, kind of, what is it? Where is it? Who are the Mori? Are they replacement Time Lords? Is this Chibnall's version of the Doctor's race? Are they from the Doctor's race? Are they the same people? Has he completely replaced the Time Lords with this race? It's kind of the question I was thinking of, but But once upon time itself, I found very convoluted and it jumped around too much for my liking.
Sure. And I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding this correct, but I can't even remember the prequel doctor's name. What is her name?
Ruth.
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 I was going to say Ruth, but
yes. The fugitive doctor, I believe they call her. Yeah.
The what?
The fugitive doctor.
The fugitive doctor. Okay.
Yeah.
So am I understanding that, or is he implying that this is the 13th? Jodie's version is popping in, and that's what am I getting?
Okay. I didn't quite see it like that. Now the issue I have with that doctor is that she was, as I understand it, and again, I may be wrong, and I'm sure we'll have hopefully comments if people listen to this. She was either, I don't think this is right, she was either in between Troughton and Pertwee, that kind of missing series 6B, I think, but I think the most common understanding is that she's pre-Hartnell. If that's the case, why the hell has she got a police box TARDIS? That really bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
That bugged me from the last few episodes of series 12. It's like, I love the idea the TARDIS was kind of buried, and then we discovered this woman actually was the Doctor. Fantastic. I love that kind of setup. But then I thought, well, if this is a previous older Doctor, pre-Hartnell, she wouldn't have a police box, and that just took me out of the whole setup, and that's why I just couldn't get on with the Timeless Children idea. And when she popped up in Once Upon a Time, I thought, okay, I'm not surprised she's reappeared. I was kind of expecting her to appear at some point, but it grates with my acceptance of there being a Doctor or somebody before Hartnell. So again, it takes me out of the whole series. And that's when I think that's when I suddenly found myself switching off in that last episode last Sunday.
I certainly understand the pros and cons of continuity. There are some, that are just sticklers on the continuity of the series. However, they go back to that one mind-bending episode or mind-bending sequence in Brain of Morbius, where they're wondering, are these past incarnations of the Doctor, and that's where they get. I watched that 2 nights ago. I hadn't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
And to me, it's plainly obvious that those are incarnations of Morbius, the production staff.
Exactly what I thought.
And as soon as I remember watching that the first time 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, and it made perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I knew exactly. And I went back and watched the order that they did, which was they show Tom, then they show the person you haven't seen before. Well, obviously that's Morbius,
because it was the battle of right. Absolutely, right. Yeah.
And then they show Pertwee, Troughton, and Hartnell, and they stop. Then they go back to the other incarnations of Morbius, of which he had more at that time. So it was obvious. So I guess some people have not wanted to accept Jodie, a female Doctor. I guess I'm in the camp of not wanting to accept that there's anyone pre William Hartnell.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as you. It's kind of okay. It's continuity, as you say, is important for lots of people. It's more fluid for others. But I'm thinking we've been invested in this series. Fans have been invested in this series potentially since 2005. And we've been told since 2005 or 6, whatever, probably certainly from around kind of the 2013 series, or the Day of the Doctor, that all 13, that's what they said. It's implicitly on screen, all 13 Doctors. And I know now that Chibnall has said that, well, before Hartnell, she wasn't called the Doctor potentially. So that's get rid of that one. But I'm thinking as well, I was thinking about this myself the other night about the whole War Doctor setup.
I was getting ready to mention that.
And you've kind of got, when Moffat was presented with the 5th anniversary story, he wanted to bring back Christopher Eccleston, but he couldn't do it, which we now understand as to why, because Eccleston doesn't want to come back because issues with the production and so on. That's understandable. I admire his convictions there. Moffat also then thought that McGann's incarnation was too nice to be a war-driven Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So the only option was to introduce a missing incarnation, which in the concept of the story worked. I would love to have seen Paul McGann in the episode, but there we go. I'd love to have seen Chris Ruxon too, but there we go. But in the context of the necessity of the story, it was perfect. Chibnall, however, has come along and decided, I'm just going to do this anyway, for no logical reason. And that's what really bugs me.
Once again, you and I are in the same camp. I thought the War Doctor fit in perfectly. And it was natural that Christopher Eccleston's incarnation was brand new after coming out of the war, the Time War, which is implied because he mentions,
look at the ears. Yeah,
this is the ears.
Yeah,
and that's very obvious. That's his intro to it.
Yeah, but we've assumed at that point he was Paul McGann before then,
right?
Yeah, because we didn't know about the Time War, I guess, to that extent.
That's right. However, when, as you spoke of earlier, when Stephen Moffat knew that he could not get Christopher Eccleston back, I remember him commenting that he felt that precisely what you said, that John Hurt his incarnation of it would have been a better choice for the war. And you're right. Yeah, I melded with that just perfectly. It made complete sense to me. Now, you can so some people get it right.
And I guess, I suppose in the wider picture of the whole kind of pre-Hartnell incarnations, does it really matter? Does it really detract from what we know about the Doctor? We don't know. We only, the Doctor appeared at the Fog as an old man. If he wasn't called the Doctor before that point, who was he? Therefore, we come back to the whole question of Doctor Who. So yes, I see why we're kind of reinvesting in that question, because it was answered that the Doctor is an old man who chose to go on the run in a raggedy old TARDIS. That's how it all started, kind of thing. So we'd been kind of spoon-fed over the years that, he's just a guy called the Doctor and he escaped from Gallifrey for whatever reason. Now we're expected to believe that there are hundreds, or certainly quite a few, versions of the same character before Hartnell came along, and it just to me it takes away the magic of those early episodes, of this mysterious man, and he's got this past. We don't know what the past is, but why the hell does he have to have all these lives before him when we've been explicitly told that he's the original, you might say.
Right. And what was the point of giving, if he's had all these other lives beforehand, what's the point of giving Matt Smith a completely new regeneration cycle?
Yeah.
At the end of, Moffat fixed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's...
yeah, absolutely. You kind of, I don't even know when they first mentioned the whole 13 Doctors, 12 regenerations and out kind of thing. I want
to think it was like a Deadly Assassin or Invasion of Time, something.
Possibly.
Right around
must have been, mid-70s, I think, when they started to understand the whole Gallifreyan concept. So, and I don't think they really imagined then that there would be 13 Doctors. They should be going on forever, Right. When we got to 11/12, whatever we're thinking about, with John Hurt being that unknown quantity. Yes, of course, they had to address it, and I like the fact that Moffat was conscious of the history of the series and wanted to acknowledge and respect what has gone before. But now it just seems completely pointless.
So back to the Chibnall writing style. I'm sad to say I'm at a complete loss. This episode just absolutely, I'm going to be very honest.
Yeah.
I dozed off, not once, not twice, 3 times. And by the end of it, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to start this over the next day.
Yeah.
Which I did from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I was still lost.
Yes, I've watched it twice, and I kind of like the storyline with Vinda and his girlfriend, and that she's I like that. But I didn't. I thought, well, why is it now here? Yes, I know that these are individual stories in a larger story. I understand that. I'm not, I'm not silly. You and I have both written and write, so we understand the context of long form storytelling and the need to introduce certain aspects as the story progresses. But that story could have been introduced when we first saw Vinda.
Absolutely. You introduce Rose with Mickey, with her strained relationship with her mother.
Yeah.
Okay, very first start, and it progresses all the way through 2 seasons.
Yep.
You start with, what are these 2 characters' names? Belle and
Vinda. Yeah.
Vinda. Yeah. So you're watching these, and I saw the tenderness, the separation, and exactly what you said. This is a setup, a perfect setup for an arc of a story that should have been introduced at the very beginning. But actually, if you want to add in her regular companions, there's still not that grabbing of interest in the characters like Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat was able to do.
Yeah.
I fully admit that I really enjoy Russell T.'s era, but Stephen Moffat with Rory and Amy, I think he did an absolutely splendid job of connecting those 2. And you add in the River Song element to it.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got 3 companions there, basically.
Yeah.
And it still worked. That his 6th season, the Impossible Astronaut, all that's my favorite series of his, and it works. And gosh, this is just not grabbing my heartstrings.
Do you know, it's I know people probably laugh when I say this, but because Russell T Davies probably wasn't subtle. In other words, Moffat in some ways, but Chibnall is literally giving us a sledgehammer.
Yes,
and talking about the subtlety of clever storytelling and clever signposting is the Angels episode with Matt Smith, and I missed it, and I still miss it when I watch it again, and I still try and look out for it. There's a whole sequence in the forest where he changes his jacket and he's not wearing a jacket, and we're meant to not notice, but later on in the episode it reveals he was actually coming back and jumping into his own time stream. And I love that subtlety of Moffat's time travel, kind of time bending storylines. I just don't think Chibnall's got the subtlety that.
Well, I can never not. I can never not hear the expository dialogue now.
Oh yeah.
When she's caught in the storm, she's talking to us. It's just, you don't need it.
No, you don't. Big Finish don't do that, and they can't show you. They have to tell, and it.
I'm sorry, Chris. I really enjoy Broadchurch. I absolutely loved all 3 series of Broadchurch, but Mm.
And I'm finding, kind of looking back kind of at series 11 and 12, now obviously 13, I enjoy the episodes more when Jodie's not in it.
Mm. Oh, the sequence. This is horrible. I can't think of the character names. What is our man from Liverpool? What is his
Dan.
name? Dan.
Yeah.
God. And his
Diane.
Diane.
Yeah.
I'm actually enjoying that little.
Yeah.
that-
I think John Bishop, and I you probably don't know the guy, but he's a very famous stand-up comedian over here. He's kind of holding it together. I think he's carrying the show. And that's wrong.
I would agree with that,
because it's the Doctor who became the show, and she has no gravitas. You just don't believe that when she's standing confronting the Sontaran general, that she's will save the world, and the world is protected. And when he laughed at her when she said, I protect me, I thought, I'm laughing with you, mate, because I just think I don't believe it either. And that's the problem. I do not believe that this Doctor can save the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up watching Doctor Who, the reason why I loved, for many reasons why I loved Doctor Who, but one of the reasons I loved Doctor Who is when I was a kid, is that you watched this mad, crazy person, didn't quite know what he was going to do next, but you had faith that you knew that when you're 7 years old and you're crapping yourself behind the sofa because a Dalek's come on board, or a Zarbi, or a Vord, or whatever it is, you just know that, this man, whatever he looks like, will save us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get that. And I know it's not because I'm older. I felt the same with Capaldi. I felt the same with Matt Smith and Tennant and Eccleston and McGann. I don't trust her. And that's an awful thing to say for a fictional character, but I don't trust when she tells me I'm here to save the world.
What is that line that Colin utters in Twin Dilemma after he's regenerated? I was never happy with that last one at all.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I can see a resurgence of that line.
Yeah.
That bit of dialogue.
Yeah. There's a nod to the fans and tongue in cheek. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just find, I don't know whether it's, again, it comes down to the writing. Perhaps it is, the whole idea that, you can write crap, and no matter how good an actor you are, you still can't get it across earnestly. I don't know.
You may have a different opinion. But that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I don't think Doctor Who would have lasted long at all had Russell T Davies not been the person to bring it back.
Yeah.
I think Stephen Moffat would might say the same thing, because he did make it his own, but I don't think it grabbed everyone like, Chris Eccleston stated, Billy Piper was the secret ingredient. And I think, what you're getting with me. You're going to get hard drama, heartfelt drama. It's going to pull at your heartstrings. There was a time for nostalgia for those that had watched it at in their younger years, and there were all these new fans like, wow. I didn't watch it back then, but it was it was a lovely, lovely show. I'm sorry to say was. I keep going with every single episode, praying that something switches. Again, Chris, I'm sorry. I am so sorry to be such a critical of this.
That's right. I mean, you kind of, and a lot of kind of people were kind of turned off by Capaldi because he was too old, or the writing. I don't know. I thought Capaldi was great. I think he's a really strong Doctor. And I was watching The Witch is Familiar the other day, and the 2-part with Davros, and
I want to go back and watch that. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's great because we'd kind of I've seen it before now and watching it again, but I was still pulled in and tricked by Davros regretting his life and wanting to show mercy, and all along he was just angling to get the Doctor's regenerative cycle, and I love that that the Doctor was tricked. He was completely blindsided. He actually believed that this ancient enemy of his had actually turned a corner and said, yeah, okay, let's just bygones be bygones. Let's get over it. And he tricked him. And I thought I just love the fact that initial as soon as he Capaldi grabbed the cords and the tubes. I thought, hang on a minute, they look like snakes to me. And I thought, oh, there we go. Yes, I remember now. And it was Colony San. And I just loved that I was still tricked, and that Capaldi's emotive performance and Julian Beach's emotive performance just hooked me in. And again, I can't imagine Jodie holding an episode like Capaldi did when he was in the confession dial. I just can't see it, and yes, all actors are different. All actors have ranges and abilities and whatever, but that's why I'm struggling with Jodie, because I don't believe she is a strong enough Doctor to make one to believe that, she can do all these amazing things and save the world.
So we're halfway through Flux.
I've got to do something to cheer myself up.
So quickly.
Yeah.
And all those who are listening, who are fond of both the classic and the new series, think about your favorite episodes, what you would like to discuss, what you would like us to discuss. Now, I'm going to count to 3, and I want you to toss out your favorite classic episode. Okay. First one that comes to your mind. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Time Lash.
Okay. You know what? That one gets a bad rap.
I'd love it.
I mean, you cannot beat Paul Darrow
no, absolutely
melodramatically.
Now that it's kind of, I don't know whether fans of our age and generation wear rose-colored glasses, looking at the old series. But I remember Time Lash vividly because I remember the Target novel vividly. And that's that's the thing. It's all the classic series to me is all these things. It's the Target novels. It's the fuzzy Doctor Who magazine pictures. It's the episodes themselves. These 3 things given to us as all we had. And we would never watch the Time Lash repeats or whatever repeats it would be, but we could read them. And so our memory is affected as a result of all those very few ways that we could relive those episodes. Now we can watch, I could pick up my phone, I can watch Jodie, or I can watch any of them on BritBox. And it could be a Halcyon Days kind of thing. Okay, so that's it for episode 3, and we'll be back. A special short edition of our podcast to celebrate the 58th anniversary of Doctor Who. We will be reviewing a couple of classic Russell T Davies episodes to foreshadow his return to the series as showrunner in 2023. So it's goodbye for now. Podcast was a shaken, not stirred production. Copyright 2021.
Good. That was very, very good. Wasn't that good, K9?
Very, very, very good, Master.
Oh, terribly good.